You've come to the right place. If you're a course creator looking to build more impact, income, and freedom, LMScast is the #1 podcast for course creators just like you. I'm your guide, Chris Badgett. I'm the co-founder of the most powerful tool for building, selling, and protecting engaging online courses called LifterLMS. Enjoy the show. Hello and welcome back to another episode of LMScast. Today we're joined by a special guest across the pond. His name's Dean Holland. Welcome to the show, Dean.
Hey, good to meet you, Chris. Happy to be here.
This is going to be a great conversation. Dean's got a lot going on across multiple levels that are relevant to a course creator. He has an education company himself. He is a master at affiliate marketing, and he's been on the entrepreneurship journey. There's a lot we're going to get into around that, and he has a book which is called The Iceberg Effect. You can check that out at deanholland.com. But first, before we get into affiliate and books and all this stuff, I noticed on your website that you have a video where you talk about your journey and the hard times.
Yes.
I call it the Valley of Despair, the Trough of Despair. I went through that. I didn't really become an entrepreneur until I'm 41 now, and I didn't really step into it until I was like 32 or something like that.
Right. Okay.
What happened to you? Like, you talked about being in debt and you were hiding it and stuff like that. Like, what happened there?
Yeah.
What was the transition like before the trough and then going into it? What happened?
Yeah. So for me, it all began before we even got online. You mentioned about becoming an entrepreneur. I started an offline business. Was my first ever thing. It was just I'm making it sound better than it was. It was a mobile food truck. Because I left school at 16, I went straight to work as a waiter serving tables in a restaurant. And then from there, I became a chef and eventually went on to become part of the management team in that place. And because I'd learned those skills over this was in about 2 years, so I did it pretty quickly. I then thought, well, I can do this for myself. I don't need to work for anyone. So I got a mobile food truck, which is pretty much all I could get my hands on the money to afford. And that started doing really well. I went from really minimum wage doing the job I was in to making anywhere between $300 to $500 a day, working only part-time hours in the food truck.
Not bad.
But how I ended up finding internet marketing as a business model is I closed that business down in the end because I actually got robbed one day by 3 guys and they stole all my equipment, and it just shook me up a bit. I mean, I was only pretty young, so I couldn't do anything. So I ended up going to work at a pub. And from there, I'd gone from, earning hundreds a day in my own business to now back on the same wage I was on with the day I left school. So it was a real shock to the system. And that's what actually caused me to start looking for stuff online. That was 2004 now.
Okay.
So we're, 16 years ago, which seems insane to say. And I like your name for it. What do you say? The Valley of Despair. Yeah. I like that name because I would definitely describe it as some kind of pain like that. So I did the typical thing. I looking online ways to make some extra money, something like that. I wasn't thinking about making a fortune, to be honest. I was just in my early 20s. I wanted to be going out with my friends. They were all out drinking and partying and out with girls. And there I was working 7 days a week in a pub serving drinks for no money. And so I tried all these different things, from network marketing to even stupid things, to be honest, which I can laugh about now. But the whole filling out surveys for cash, and even
that was the first thing I did. I signed up for that survey for cash, and I was like, "This is BS. The guy just took my money or whatever."
Right.
It was. It's funny. I've never mentioned that before publicly, I guess. But that was around that time. It was around 2004.
Wow. Yeah. Oh, no way.
Maybe we signed up for the same program.
Yeah, quite probably. Yeah, I was probably the guy that tried to get you to sign up or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I was trying all this different stuff, and eventually I found affiliate marketing. So just promoting other people's products for commissions. I thought, well, this seems like the easiest option here. This is the one that I think is going to work. But my Valley of Despair or whatever it is went on for 4.5 years. I didn't make a single sale online, nothing, not even a lucky random commission that just showed up, just nothing. There was nothing at all. And so between 2004 to 2008, I'd ended up getting 5 credit cards. Was like, this is where I was at rock bottom now. I'd gone from, oh, look at all this fun stuff that looks easy to make money with. So I got my first credit card, maxed that out. Then I got another one, same with that. And after I had 5 credit cards, all but one of them maxed out. I managed to get a bank loan to consolidate all my debts into one thing. And I was like, well, that's perfect. I'm going to just stop using credit cards, stop using debt, consolidate it all. And I did the worst thing that nobody should ever do in that situation. I paid it all off, and then I kept the credit cards.
Oh,
and
wow.
so I started using them again.
Wow.
And by the end of sort of 2008, I was, 24 years old at that stage. I had over 60 grand on credit cards and loans. And because I was not telling, like I still lived with my parent, with my mum at that stage. She'd never really used credit cards or anything. So she'd always sort of raised me to be more along the lines of, if you want something, you save up for it and then you get it. That's always what I'd been sort of brought up to believe. And
so
I
you kept it in the shadows.
Yeah. So she didn't even know I had one credit card. And so there I am. And I'm having to, where things just spiraled out of control for me is because I was having to pretend I didn't have debts. Obviously, if your friends or your family or something want to do something, I can't be like, oh, no, I've got no money, because why shouldn't I have money? There's no reason for me not to have money. I'm working a full-time job. So I had to just carry on as if everything was good, which is where the credit card situation just got worse and worse and worse. And the sort of turning point, like how did that all change? I actually went to a internet marketing seminar in London, here in England.
Who put it on?
Yeah. So it was like the first time ever that I'd actually seen people
like
that
you.
I'd read about online. It was a very weird situation for me at that stage, because I'm just shy and quiet and was hiding the reality of my life from everyone. And there I am at this event, and I've got people around me that I've been buying products from for years.
Well, hold on one second there. I wanted to ask, so when you're getting into this debt, I mean, you're paying to go out with friends and live and stuff, but were you also putting a lot of money on like courses and digital products and stuff?
Oh yeah, massively.
Like $2,000 courses and things.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it started small, because this is one of the things that always gets asked by people. Sometimes I meet people and they're like, "Oh, you're lucky. I've got 100 grand in debts." But then I meet other people and they just can't figure out, how did I get in such a mess? It just doesn't make sense to them.
Well, it's funny because we started with the same thing. That $100 survey. I'm going to give you all this stuff. You just kept going. I was like, I'm never going to get burned again.
Right. Oh, you see, I was just stupid. I was like, oh, I'm just going to keep doing this. This feeling's fun. But the products and courses I was buying early on, they were pretty cheap, because I didn't have that sort of tolerance to thinking that you should spend thousands on a course or to get help.
So were these Warrior Forum, $100 kind of tricks? And
I bought loads of stuff on the Warrior Forum, and obviously there was ClickBank that was much more popular back then than it probably is today. But eventually what happened is the more in debt I got, the more desperate I became, and the more desperate I got, the more I started to think, well, maybe the answer is in buying that expensive course. Maybe I'm just buying the wrong stuff. And I remember I bought a $500 program once, and that's where it sort of began. And what ended up happening for me, I started getting phone calls. And back then I didn't understand what was actually happening. I'll never forget, I got this phone call. I'd bought a product off ClickBank, and it was like a phone call, and it was like, I can't remember the owner now, but whoever made this product, they've asked me to give you a call. They want to work with you. And I'm
upsell.
Just stupid me. I'm like, oh, wow, really? This is incredible.
How lucky am I?
And it was like, oh, yeah, it's going to be it's a 6-week program. And it was looking back now, it was a full-on boiler room situation. It was like, how much credit do you have? Can you get any more? It was aggressive. It was awful. But I just fell for it. And it was the first time I'd spent bigger money. I think, was it $5,000 or $6,000 on one credit card? And that ended up being a complete scam. After 3 weeks of weekly calls, they vanished.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I was like, oh no. But now I had a $5,000 on a credit card. So now I was more desperate to figure out, how am I going to pay that back? It just got just got way
So
out
what
of
was
hand.
the turning point where you started to climb out of the swamp, or at least had the glimmer of hope that something is gonna, all right, I think I'm gonna make some progress here?
Yeah. So like I say, I went to that event, and what ended up happening is I asked a guy there just before he left at the end of the weekend. I said, like, just tell me what I need to do. Like, I'm not afraid to work. I will give it my all. Just tell me what to do. And he gave me advice that actually like scared the life out of me. He said, it's time to stop lying. And it wasn't that I was lying. I was just hiding from the truth.
Yeah.
He was like, it's time to stop that. You need to start being honest. And he said, the best thing that you could actually do is go home, start a blog, and actually start sharing your real experiences that you've had trying to make money online. Because unbeknownst to me back then, I think maybe a lot of people go through this. When you're in that sort of situation, you feel like you're on your own. Like you feel like nobody else is going to be going through what you're going through, because like maybe I'm just stupid and no one else is going to have been as stupid as me.
Yeah,
And so his advice was,
you look at Pat Flynn or somebody, is like, oh yeah, he's just making $1 million a month or whatever it is. I must be an idiot.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so like his advice was that to start a blog and start actually being honest about what I've gone through trying to make money online, trying to start a business. And I really didn't want to do that, because obviously at this stage still nobody knew what I was into, like the mess. But it was really one of those situations where it's like, look, you've got this guy that's by all accounts making tens of thousands a month online, and he's telling you this is what you should do. If I don't do it, I might as well just give up, because that would just be stupid. To me, there was only two choices: give up or just listen to what this guy says and do it. And that's what I did. And I actually, you can still see it to this day, because I didn't understand what WordPress was.
Yeah.
And so when he said, go and start a blog, I went home that same day and I tried to find out what is a blog. I didn't even know. And I found WordPress.com. And I thought, oh, this is what he means. Like I start this. And you can actually still see it. It's still online today. It's deanholland.wordpress.com. You can see the very first, it was October 20th, 2008.
Nice.
And if you scroll to the very first post, because there was about maybe 3 or 4 posts before I realized, I should have my own hosting and I should host this blog. There's a better way of doing this. But you can actually see that first post. And I say my first goal is to make $1, because I've just spent years not knowing how to do that. So if I can make $1, I'll have proven to myself it can be done. And that really was the turning point. I actually I earned my first affiliate commission 5 weeks after that post.
I think that's amazing. And the thing is, the reason why I wanted to talk about it too is it's a taboo. And when you become an entrepreneur, what you said, like 60 grand in debt, like if you were to go to like an expensive private school, 60 grand in debt is totally accepted, and socially. And your mom would probably be proud of you. Like, awesome, he's going to Harvard or whatever, Oxford or whatever. But entrepreneurs go to something often, not always, but I did this, called the School of Hard Knocks.
Right.
And it's lonely, it's isolating. You have to like initiate everything. It's just a completely different approach than higher ed. Not that higher ed's bad. I did college. It was cool. I got some good stuff out of it, but it's not accepted. Entrepreneurs are both hard on themselves. Their families are hard on them in general, and society is hard on them until they're successful. And when they're in the valley of despair, it appears from the outside that they're like, when are you going to grow up or get out of this phase? It's like a total thing. That's awesome.
When are you going to get a real job?
Yeah, that's cool. Well, thanks for sharing that. It says on your website on deanholland.com, I want to find the words. You said a training, coaching, and education company. How do you see those 3 words as being different or same? Like, you mentioned all 3. I'm just curious. Training, coaching, education. How are they just different, or are you just kind of different flavors of the same thing?
I would say probably different flavors or different forms of the same thing, maybe.
Yeah.
Like I would classify listening to this podcast as training.
Mm-hmm. Learning.
Yeah.
Helping somebody get a result, which might just be understanding themselves better.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So I think there's like different levels. I guess in my mind, when I would say something like that with those similar words, I guess to me there's different levels or different depths of training, I guess. Like you could say mentoring and coaching. Is there a difference between them? You know, I would actually say there is. But yeah, so I think there's different ways of learning or different depths to training as such. So I suppose that's kind of what I'm getting at with that.
And what got you to get out of the building or out of your isolation and go to that first event to, like, you know, get out from behind the computer and go meet some people in your local area?
Well, it was all a very fortunate, quite lucky story, actually, in honesty. I was, because of all the products I'd bought in those first 4 years, I was getting, 20, 30, 40 emails a day from all the different subscriptions I was on. And I just happened to open up it was a Yahoo Mail account I had at that stage. And there was a subject line. It said, "Meet me in London, I'm paying."
Okay.
And I was like, "Oh, what's that?" So I opened it up, and one of the guys who was list I was on, which ended up being the one that gave me the advice about the blog, he'd put an email out to his list and said he was going to be attending this event. And he said he knew the person that was one of the people behind the event, and he said he's given him 10 tickets. So he said, if you reply to this email and you're one of the first 10, I'll cover the cost of your ticket and you can come to the event. And so that's how that actually came about. I actually didn't reply straight away because a lot of people can't believe this now because they see me today and I come across a lot more confident. But back then, I was the most introverted, shy, quiet person you could ever possibly meet, like very badly that way. And so I actually didn't reply immediately because I was really scared of going to something like that. Like, as crazy as that sound, I was that introverted. I didn't, still to this day, I'm not very good in crowds, in all honesty.
Yeah.
So I just like to, I'm more of a to the side kind of guy. I observe, I listen, I watch, I take it all in. But so to put myself in that environment was kind of daunting, to be honest, but that's how it came about.
You sound a lot like me. I'm exactly the same. I was actually just at a big event in Atlanta, and they put me, the seating assignments were assigned, and I was like in the corner. I was in the corner, like on the side. I was like, perfect.
Yeah.
You know, that's where I'm the most comfortable.
Yeah, me too.
Well, you have a podcast called Just the Tips with another guy named James, and that's where I heard about you. And then the reason I reached out to you is there was an episode, I think it was actually 2 episodes that you did back to back where you guys like banter a lot, which I find funny, but then you got into some real meat and potatoes around affiliate marketing, which is cool. And you had a lot of insight, and I thought it was very good. So for the audience here, there's people who are beginning course creators, and there's other people that are advanced, probably already moving with affiliate programs and whatnot.
Sure.
But there's and just for anybody who's not aware, affiliate marketing is where you sign up for an affiliate program and you get a unique link that you share on social media, email, other ways. And if somebody clicks through and buys, you earn a commission. And as a course creator, or if you have a membership site, having an affiliate program is a good idea to help with sales. I don't recommend adding it until you can already prove that your thing is working. And some people try to add affiliate too early. I see it more of a scaling strategy than a starting strategy. I mean, by all means, start with it if you want to. But what are some like hard-won lessons and truths you found in affiliate marketing that a course creator could learn from?
Yeah, great question. I think you've just actually touched on one of the biggest there with what you said. I think a lot of people do rush to the affiliate path as a course, someone with a product or service to get affiliates promoting their offer. And a lot of times I see people do that before they've proven the offer and optimized it themselves. And I think it's
same for paid advertising. Like before you go do Facebook ads, like make sure your offer converts, right?
Right. Yeah. And I think a lot of people get it really backwards. It's almost like the way I would personally look at it with when people jump to having an affiliate program and getting people promoting their stuff too soon is like they don't want to take the risk on it not working themselves, so they'll offload that responsibility and they almost use their affiliates to then optimize their offer. And I think it's such a dangerous thing to do because those relationships, like they can be burned really easily. And I think a lot of times what people don't realize when they're starting out is like how powerful having even a small number of like heavy hitting affiliates promoting your stuff can be. I mean, we've had individual affiliates we've paid over $1 million in commissions to over a 2-year period. Just one person promoting our stuff. But if I'd have gone to that person and had them promote our stuff before I'd optimized it, before I knew it was converting, they'd have probably promoted it once and never again because they wouldn't have got a return. So I think that's one of the biggest things is make sure you've got your offer and your conversions all dialed in first, because then you can confidently go out to affiliates and say, look, I've got this offer. Here's what the product is. Here's what it's all about. Here's what the funnel looks like. Here's the conversions we've seen to date. And you're going into that relationship then in a much stronger position.
How do you approach an affiliate it's one thing if they're maybe similar size to you, but what if you're going after a big affiliate where you're like a minnow approaching the whale? Like, how do you do that?
Yeah, it's a good subject. It's not typically, it's not easy.
Yeah.
And like you say, like the bigger that affiliate is, or the bigger that name is, or that personality, generally the harder it can be to sort of break through that wall and get to them. I mean, there's a whole I don't know if you've heard about it, read about it, like the whole what's it called, like the Dream 100 strategy.
Yeah,
that's a bit more sort of, I guess, long term. You're playing the long game with that. That's all about sort of identifying who the top 100 affiliates are in the perfect world, who you would like to promote your offer, and then sort of doing things over a long period of time, on a consistent, regular basis to try and almost get the foot in the door to open up that line of communication with those people. I know.
Which may take years.
It definitely can. I know, Russell Brunson's been a mentor of mine over the last few years. And the one he's been talking about a lot lately is his relationship with Tony Robbins and how
which he's been working for like 6 years or whatever, right?
Even longer, I think. It was like about 10 or 12 years that he's been sort of had him on his Dream 100 list as somebody he would love to have him promote his stuff. And only in the last sort of 12 or 18 months has he done so. And now they've even got a company together. So it's like that took like 10 years to get that person to promote for him, but he just stuck at it. And that's not to say, I don't want to put anyone listening off thinking like, well, what's the point if it's going to take 10 years? That's Tony Robbins. This is a guy that doesn't need to promote anybody. Yeah. But I would say, in all honesty, like one of the biggest things that's not to be underestimated is the quality of the product. Like I honestly think, and I've got the good fortune of having seen the sort of cycling that I always put it that goes on in various industries and how things come about. And I think going back several years, I used to always see and believe that the person with the best marketing would always win. Like I used to see so many really bad products selling like crazy. And it always just looked like he or she who has the best marketing will always win. And to a degree, I think there's still a lot of truth to that today. But I'm noticing a shift coming about that actually I think we're heading to a much better time where it's the best products will win. You've got to have the good marketing with it. Don't get me wrong. You can't just have a great product, as we know. No one's just going to show up. But at the same time, if you couple together now the best product that you can create along with the best marketing, those are the people that I think are really going to shine through. And I think if you can be that person with your course or service, whatever it is that you're providing, you're going to put yourself in a much stronger position anyway to be able to start approaching affiliates, because you'll have the reputation, you'll have the student results, the client case studies, and that goes a long way.
Yeah, that's super important. It makes me think about Jeff Walker's product launch formula, who back in the day, I didn't buy it because I was burned from that survey. You might have bought it, but what I did do is every year, now this has been like 10 years or however long now, 8 years, every year, twice a year, I watch him launch that product.
Yeah.
And I sit on his launch list and I watch him do his training, and he gives away so much value in his product launch that I'm always learning. But what really fascinates me is I've seen internet products come and go, coaching programs come and go, but Jeff put his flag in the ground. He's like, product launch formula, I'm going to keep doing it better and better. I'm going to help these entrepreneurs get results and figure out how to launch a product. And it's just one course redone over and over and over again. I'm like, dang, that is awesome. So I don't know. And he has affiliates, and I'm to promote him, like, it's rock solid, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think Like that's to me is a good example that probably is some good advice for people listening. Like the only reason he's been able to do that, and I think he's probably the go-to example in this case, is like he's created something that isn't just a short-term thing. You know, people are always going to need to learn how to create and launch their courses, their products.
Yeah.
You know, so I think that's a very smart thing for people to often consider. I mean, I used to create, I've created courses in the past on WordPress because that was like the first thing I learned. I really studied like, what is WordPress? And I really learned that whole world of WordPress quite well years ago. Yeah. And so I remember some of the first like lead magnets I'd used to build my list. I wrote a thing called the blog setup guide. Okay. And that was the first time I started to see like, oh, WordPress kept changing their interface and their dashboard, and different things kept changing. And even though the core stuff was pretty similar, I kept creating these tutorial videos that show people how to do stuff. And then literally it could be whilst you were recording the video, they changed something and you're like, oh, I've got to do it all again. So I think that's something to look out for.
That's the hard thing about teaching software is because it changes a lot. Whereas like for example, Jeff Walker's product launch formula, it's more about the theory, and like the tools don't matter as much as like the sequencing and the stacking and everything. Well, let's talk about your book, Dean, The Iceberg Effect, The Untold Secret of Affiliate Marketing Success. Why'd you write it? What is it?
Yeah. Why did I write it? Gosh, sometimes I ask myself that was in the that small little book felt like it took me 10 years to write. So,
did you write it yourself or ghostwrite it?
I did. No, I wrote every word.
Nice.
It was I'm not actually very good at writing. So it was a very hard thing for me. I'm just not very good at, I can talk, but I don't seem to be able to, they always said about me at school, they always said I had like an analytical brain. So I wanted to go from problem to solution in the fastest time possible. So they always told me from a young age that like story writing, I always cut out the middle. There was never a middle. It was like, here's the start and here's the end. There was never any substance between it. So it took me about, probably about 18 months to write the book. And it's not the longest book in the world. Like you can read it in like 3 hours or something. It's 2 hours. It's really quick. But I wrote it. The book is primarily, I know obviously we're talking a lot of your audience is course creators, but this book, it gives an introduction to everything that we do as a company and things, but it primarily then focuses on like being an affiliate as opposed to, you know, gaining affiliates, if you like. So it focuses on the affiliate marketing business model, because I know there's, as you do, there's several different types of business models that people can choose, you know, and I think I personally, if I look at my journey, affiliate marketing was the thing that enabled me to make a full-time income and quit my job in 2009. Once I'd done that and I was promoting products, and again, I kept documenting on my blog, people started asking me if I could teach them what I'd done. And so that led me eventually to actually create my first course, which is what I did. So I went from being an affiliate to now being a course creator and selling my own products. And I went from, you know, being an affiliate and, you know, maybe making $2,000 or $3,000 a month initially, to then offering my own products. My very first course that I sold, it made about $13,000 in sales in its first week.
Wow, that's amazing. And what was the topic?
It was called Starting with Marketing. And it was basically just teaching what I'd learned, which was how to start a blog and use a blog, how to build an email list, and how to then promote affiliate offers to that list. So it was really just all I've ever done. And I think this is all I still do to this day, is like, I just share what I'm doing. So it's like, I've never proclaimed to be like a genius at 1,000,001 different things. All I've ever done is learn something from other people smarter than me, and then put myself in a position to be able to share what I've done with other people. And it seems to have gone pretty well in that sense. So I went from the affiliate marketing model to a course creator model. And now I think the way I've now evolved is, you know, I've stopped being like just a home-based business working out of my, like just on my laptop at home. We've now got a 2,500 square foot offices in the UK. I've got, you know, multiple full-time team members, and I've really focused on trying to create this education company that, you know, is going to be here for a very, very long time. And so as I look at my journey over 10 years, it really consists of sort of 3 phases in my mind. It was like affiliate marketer, then product creator, course creator, and then becoming more of like a a boss, if you like, whatever you want to call it, like somebody that now I'm not the one doing everything. You know, if I want to go on vacation, the business still runs and operates, like there's no problems.
That's quite a journey to turning pro like that, like all the stages. And I think course creation and affiliate can go hand in hand. You can get affiliates for your course, but I recommend every course creator, like if you put your customer at the center of your business, not your product, the reality is your customer, your product helps your customer, but they're probably going to need some other tools and resources. Right. So you just slap a resources page on your website and you list out other useful tools. And if they happen to have an affiliate program, why not capture a piece of that revenue while you're helping your student or learner?
Yeah, 100%. I love what you said there as well. I think sometimes a bit of a trap that people with their own courses, they get stuck in is like, they view it as like, this is my customer. I don't want to share my customer.
Right.
And like, and I say that laughing because I think for a while I thought the same. It was like, I don't want to tell my customers about other people. That's mine.
Yeah.
But then you wake up a little bit and you realize like, look, my customers, they're buying from everybody else anyway. So like you've just said, like the easiest thing in the world as a course creator to add additional revenue is like, what complements what you're teaching, or what do people need? So for me, a good example would that be when I did that blog setup guide, you know, there was a couple of things people need. They need a hosting account to be able to install their blog, and they need an autoresponder to build their list. So like I was promoting a hosting company and Aweber as an autoresponder back then. Still to this day, from that one report, I know it's not big money in any way. Like I get usually between $120 to $250 a month from Aweber. But I've had that now every month for 10, 11 years. You know, and it's all like, I only ever had it in that report. And we're not talking it had mass exposure here. There was like a couple of thousand downloads of that over a year.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think Aweber, if I'm correct, they have a recurring affiliate program.
Correct, yeah.
Which is a little bit unusual. Like a lot of affiliate stuff is like a one-time commission. But if you get a recurring commission, how cool is that?
Yeah,
exactly. For as long as that customer stays with them.
Yeah, exactly. And there's so much stuff like that for course creators to do. Like if you're going to teach someone to create a course, how are they housing that course? What can they promote? You know, how are they building the sales pages to promote that course? You know, how are, you know, everything that's inside there. I'm sure most course creators, they don't have a hosting company or an LMS company or a funnel building company and all this different stuff. Like be the one to introduce those to your customers.
That's awesome. Well, who's your perfect customer? Who's your ideal customer? What are they like?
Good question. I've been adapting this. This is one of the major shifts we've gone through over the last couple of years. Because to be honest, by nature of what I've done and what I've gone through, like when you tell the story, it naturally attracts a particular type of person. And one of the things that I always used to do, like we just started this podcast, you know, I'm a complete open book. Like there's more lessons to be learned from me, I feel, from the bad times, the failures. The bad stuff. There's more lessons in that. So I do talk a lot about that. But I think one of the things I've noticed over the years, and this isn't to be critical or disrespectful to anyone, but if I talk about, I was in $60,000 of debt and I turned it around, it attracts people that can resonate with the message. And I think, you know, that's obvious for all of us. You know, what story you tell is what's going to resonate with people. If I talk about loving, you know, football or soccer or whatever constantly and business, I'm probably going to attract people that have that similar sort of interest. And so when I used to focus a lot on that piece of the story because it was very sort of emotional to me, if you like, you know, very hard hitting with me and my experience in it. But the problem is, like I say, you always used to attract people that didn't have any money, or they're maxed out on credit cards and they're looking for that fix because it's like, well, it happened for you. So I'm attracted to you because you must be able to help me out of this same situation.
Right.
And so like we've had to, for our own sanity, in all honesty, had to adjust the type of customer we attract. And I've started telling a bit of an evolution from that message. So instead of focusing heavily on that debt side of things and the downside, is more like, yes, we mentioned that, but then focus on what have I learned since? What's the reality of how you can turn things around?
And there's a lot of work to be done. Right?
There is a lot of work to be done. In fact, if you visited, if anyone looks at the sales page for my book, I mean, it's free, but if it's sales page, it actually has a whole paragraph that's like, this book is not going to, you're not going to read this book and get rich. Like, you are going to have to put in the time. It is going to cost you some money, and so instead of telling that story of like, oh, rags to riches. I was broke and now I've made millions. It's
It
now
was
like, look,
easy.
this is
Yeah.
the reality of situation. I'm going to be the one to tell you the things I wish someone would have told me in the past. It's like,
I think,
yes. Sorry,
I
go
think,
on.
oh, I think it's cool. Like when you have a course or product or service to have that like 2-column layout, like who this is for, who this is not for, and
Yes.
just
Yeah.
save yourself I just help people better understand if they're a fit or not.
Definitely. Yeah. Because I think what naturally happens when people start out with their courses is they want to start making sales. They want to start earning some money. And I think what you have to be wary of and just cautious of is like, don't try and sell to everybody, because whilst you might get the money, if the customer is wrong. I mean, I actually spoke at Funnel Hacking Live, Russell Brunson's event in 2018. And I did this whole like 30-minute presentation. And I had a little bit of humor. It's just my style at the beginning. And it was like how to be rich and miserable.
Yeah.
And I explained, like, because we did a few years ago, we was just selling to anyone and everyone, bringing in hundreds of thousands a month in course sales. But I was just sitting at home miserable, not wanting to look at the computer because there were so many of the wrong type of customers for my business. And so I really, coming back to like, who's our perfect customer, I really now try and focus on somebody that is in that situation probably, or in the frame of mind I was at the end of 2008, where it's like, for 4 years, I'd believed all the rich as untold claims with very little work and all this. I'd gone through all that. I realized it was all ridiculous. And now I was ready to do the work. It was around about 2007, 2008. I realized like, oh, this is business. I'm going to have to learn what a business is and how this business thing works. Before I was just trying to make a bit of money.
Right.
And now it's like, oh, this is business. I've got to learn how business works. And that's the type of customer now that I love to work with. It's someone that's probably tried a lot of stuff already. They've been through the junk. And now they're like, okay, I'm ready to really take this serious. I'm ready to do what it takes. I need some real help. Like, that's the point where I love to come in and say, we're ready.
That's awesome. That's super cool. For the course creator out there, one of these things I see happen sometimes is when they start studying internet business or online marketing, sometimes they lose focus on for some people like you and I, we're kind of in the industry or whatever, but like, I'm thinking of like a alternative healthcare practitioner or somebody who is like a parenting expert or new baby coach or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I see them sometimes get seduced and like lose focus on their core, and they're like, oh, this internet marketing thing, I should be like, I should teach that. Like, I don't know. Do you see that happen? Do you have any comments on how to help people learn from internet marketing, but don't become like, you don't need to switch your topic to internet marketing?
Right.
Have you,
Yeah.
do you have any comment on that?
Yeah, it's funny. I noticed this happen a lot as well. I think people, I think a lot of times what happens is internet marketing as an industry, like the premium prices that you can command for your courses in that industry and like helping other people in business and things, like they're pretty excessive. They're pretty big. I paid Russell over $100,000, to work with him. And I think a lot of times what happens is people in other industries that maybe the premium pricing in that industry is a fraction of what they see other people being able to charge. You mentioned
you may not
Jeff
be able
Walker.
to start a $30,000 mastermind for, new parents who don't have any money and they're
right.
staying
Exactly.
at home, right?
Exactly. And I think probably that's what happens in a little way is people, I think it's the same with just human nature in life. People think the grass is greener. And they see like, oh my gosh, you're selling like Jeff Walker. Oh, you're selling all these courses for $2,000 a time. Like, and here I am having to sell this $50 thing like 100 times a day to make the same amount of money. And so I think there's that sort of thing. But, as I look back over the last 10 years, I sometimes joke. My first big success was in 2010. I started a membership site. It was $97 a month. And within 3 months, it had gone from new idea to $115,000 a month.
Wow.
But I had such little actual life experience in business at that stage that I thought that was going to last forever. Like I thought, oh, wow, all these people, and it sounds stupid, like we can all laugh. But that's what I thought back then. I'd never had recurring income. Right. And so I thought, well, it was $97 a month. We had like 1,200 people in that membership within about 12 weeks. And I was like, wow, that's it. My life's changed. Like, I'm rich forever. And every day I used to wake up about 7:30 in the morning. I'd get the notifications come through on the rebills. And every day was like between $2,000 to $4,000 a day before I'd even got out of bed. I used to set my alarm, wake up, look at it, and go back to sleep with a big grin on my face. Yeah. But because I didn't have the experience, this was 1 year, 18 months into doing it full time. I just happened to hit on this good idea. So I started traveling. Like I was still living with my mum, bear in mind, at this stage. So I'm like 24, 25 years old, making 2, 3, 4 grand a day in recurring income, living with my mum with no outgoings or responsibility. Yeah. So I'm like, I just started because I'd been so broke, I'd never traveled or been on vacations anywhere. I think I had 1 vacation by the time I was about 22 in my life. So I started going on vacations with all my friends. Anytime someone said, oh, we're going to, like Europe, or we're going to Vegas, or we're going there, I'd be like, how come? I was just inviting myself with everyone. And I did that for about 6 months. I don't think there was hardly a period in time I was home. But what happened in that time, unbeknownst to me, because I didn't know how memberships worked, people were canceling every day.
Churn.
And so, that was February 2010. By the end of that year, that business was gone.
Wow.
That whole site was just
businesses
dead.
have a life cycle. They don't always last forever. So
yeah, it's true. But the membership site was on traffic generation. So it was an evergreen subject.
Yeah.
But just cycling back to why I say this, and with your question, like sometimes I look back and I think, I wonder what would have happened if I only did that for the next 5 years. Like what could have happened? I mean, it went from idea to 6 figures a month within like 12 weeks. What would have happened if I didn't go on vacations and didn't just drop the business? What would have happened if I just kept doing what I'd done in the first 12 weeks for the next 5 years? Like, where could that have gone? Obviously, we'll never know, but I've got a good inclination it would have kept growing. And I think this is like, if I've got something that I believe in and it's good now, like I've really learned to cut myself off from continually pursuing the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And just a bit of advice I can share on that with everybody that works for me, maybe not for everyone. I get a lot of ideas, and it's a gift and a curse. I get the best ideas at the worst times. But what I've learned to do now is we use Trello as a project management tool. And I have this thing that I just call my wish list. And everything that I think of, so I don't worry about forgetting it, or I don't immediately action it now and drop what I'm working on, I just throw it in there. And about once every 4 to 6 weeks, I'll just have a look at some of the ideas I've had and just see, like, is there anything that can immediately impact what we're doing now or not? If the answer is yes, then I'm willing to look at it. If not, I'll just keep it there, because one time in future, maybe that situation will change. I think I've learned the hard way, like you said at the start, the school of hard knocks. The hard way is you jump from thing to thing until you realize sticking at one main thing until it's successful, until you get it where you want it to be, is the best way to perform.
That is awesome. Well, Dean Holland, he's at deanholland.com, 2 L's in Holland. Go listen to his podcast, Just the Tips. We'll put the episode links below, but you did too a little bit ago about affiliate marketing that are really good. And go check out his book. It's on his website at deanholland.com. It's called The Iceberg Effect. Dean, thanks so much for coming on the show and sharing your story with us and your tips, because one of the goals of this podcast is to help course creators accelerate success, not just in using tech, but all these other entrepreneur things that happen in their life. And I love how we're kind of closing out on the beware of shiny object syndrome. And it's cool. Don't deny it. Give it a bucket, give it a place to put it, so that your brain can like relax and you don't have fear that you're going to forget that idea or whatever. But this is full of tips. The goal of this podcast is to condense decades into days so that you can learn from people like Dean. But yeah, thanks so much for coming on the show. Is there any final words you have for the people or places where they can connect with you?
Yeah, no, just to say thank you for the invitation. I think this is probably, other than my own, maybe the first ever time I've been on a podcast that wasn't my own. So I've enjoyed the experience. So thank you for the invitation. And just to anyone listening, like if, I think what you've just said is amazing, like condensing decades into days. I think if people can just pull out like just one thing that they hear from this episode and just focus on that, if it will improve where they're going and what they're doing, then they should definitely do it. So hopefully there was something in here for everyone.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Dean.
Thank you.
And that's a wrap for this episode of LMScast. I'm your guide, Chris Badgett. I hope you enjoyed the show. This show was brought to you by LifterLMS, the #1 tool for for creating, selling, and protecting engaging online courses to help you get more revenue, freedom, and impact in your life, head on over to LifterLMS.com and get the best gear for your course creator journey. Let's build the most engaging, results-getting courses on the internet.